Radical.
Welcome to Flea Market Stories, documenting one man's journey into the world of flea marketing. Got a quick question before I get into this commentary. Some of you that follow game price values, what would you say NFL Blitz the League 2 on Xbox 360 is really worth? Honestly. Because it's all over the place when I'm looking at pricing. Some pricings have it over 100, some under 30. It's just all over the place. I know pricing is subjective, but honestly, what do you think it's really worth? My copy, I think, is complete. Has a manual, has the outside insert, and of course, I'm going to be putting it in my machine, so it'll be, like new, the actual disc. It's not really, don't have many scratches on it right now, so it should clean up pretty nice. What do you think it's worth now? And in the future, years ahead, what do you think it's probably going to max out at? Like, what do you think it's going to be worth? And do you think it's one that has a potential to lower in price? Because we saw that with NFL, NCAA football 14 and 13. Those lowered in price real low. But that was mostly because there was a new NCAA football game that came out. This is a circumstance where that's not the case. But I'm just curious. And I don't really play it that much. I think I might sell to this guy for $50. I think I might. Hell, he's going to get a lot more use and appreciate it more than I will. But I don't want to part with it for less than 50, just because it's rare. And yeah, $50, I think. $50 bucks. Speaking of 50, I've been watching King of the Hill, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm just been watching King of the Hill, and one part, if you know about King of the Hill, made me laugh out loud when now older Bobby met somebody that his grandpa killed, and Cotton always talked about, like, I killed 50 men. And Bobby goes, oh crap, somebody was judging his restaurant, and he said, oh crap, your grandpa was one of the 50 men. And man, I highly recommend the new season of King of the Hill if you can access and watch it. Okay, get into this flea market story. I was happy and excited the day before because I had a great customer that whenever they stopped by, I remember them buying a good bit. And this customer was Xavier. And I don't know if many of you remember, I talked about, it's been about maybe 2 years now. Has it been that long? Damn. I had an instance where I met this person and they complimented my Deadpool shirt. And they were also wearing a Deadpool shirt. And I thought it was a female, but it's one of the situations where this is like a she-he, where it's a biologically born female, but they cut their hair short, or they use binders to bind their boobies, and they try to look like a guy. But I could clearly tell that it was a born female. I know, they can take hormones and grow facial hair and all kind of stuff, but this is a pre-hormoned female. And, she-he, which I'll say she-he, because that's more accurate. I try to not just say she or he or whatever, but it's she-he. She became a customer after I met them in a Walmart. And this person, like I said, usually bought a good bit with their girlfriend there. Mostly comic books. And I was like, well, damn, this is going to be pretty cool. They can swing by, they can buy a good bit. And they were curious about where my new location was because I shifted stores in the past year or so from when they had been shopping there. And I told this person where it was. I was shocked. I was shocked because this is not exactly what I thought it would be. Completely different situation. Like a complete 180 from the situation before. They stopped by. They were still with the same person. I think they actually, they got married, I believe. But they said they had, came into hard times. They had some issues with the house they were living in. The landlord was really shitty. They lost power there. There was something else the landlord was supposed to fix. And for some reason, the landlord didn't think that they were needing to fix it, even though that's the job of a landlord is to fix some of your shit. And they were still having to pay. And also, Sheehy's mother passed away a couple months back from, I think, a terminal cancer. So definitely they had been through a whole lot. Now, I remember this instance to where I had they were good customers. I don't know how I had the number of Sheehy's wife, but I texted her, and then I got a text from, Sheehy after that, and it was about something like game related, or saying that I found some Deadpool or some Batman books or something, because Sheehy had told me when I get some Batman or Deadpool books to send pictures. Well, the phone for Sheehy did not work. I think they later told me that they had to get into their phone. I still had the number of Sheehy's wife though, and it was apparently some kind of a big deal that I was texting Sheehy's wife, but it was not like, I was like, hey girl, what's up? You want to hang out sometime? Or I wasn't hitting on her. It was about this, but I just took it to mean like she was defensive that I was texting the wife, even though there was no one else to text. And they had specifically told me, or he did, to text about Deadpool comics. But I was like, okay, fine. I won't ever text Sheehy's wife again. This is kind of strange. But it wasn't a big deal. She's just basically told me like, hey, she's busy at work, don't text her again. Make sure to text me when I get my phone back. I'm like, you don't have a phone. But then I thought I did something wrong, and I didn't see him, I don't think any after that, I believe. So anyways, time goes by, and maybe it was just a bad situation, and that's probably what it is, because they've been going through a lot the past year, and could be, but I didn't think anything about it. But I remember this person, Xavier, and they texted me, hey, are you still selling there at the flea market? I said, yes, I am. I'll be there tomorrow, actually. And I just brought in a good bit of comic books, too, in anticipation, thinking, okay, they're going to buy a whole lot of comics. That's going to be a good day tomorrow. So text me, and then I called Sheehy back once they got to the flea market, because they were actually there. And I said, hey, just follow the lights. So I put in some neon lights on my table, and Sheehy gets there with the wife. And everything's friendly, everything's going well. They're looking at some games, looking at some comics. But noticeably, the weird changes between my stuff there and the whole wall of lots of comics and lots of manga, the most books I've ever had, and that's what they usually bought, they didn't buy a single thing. Strangest thing, they didn't buy a single thing. And I think Sheehy's wife went on to look at something else after looking at some of the game stuff. I talked to Sheehy for a while. Here's where it gets really interesting. This is the interesting part of the story. It's not good. It's not good. Completely a 180, because right now what happens is Sheehy is mentioning, if I have a notebook, if I could jot down some games that Sheehy's looking for. I'm thinking, okay, I might have some of these games. All right, now we're cooking. Now we're in business now. I start writing down the games. PS2, Xbox 360, original Xbox. I start writing down these games. But the weird thing is, most people, when they're looking for some games, they might mention, hey, I'm looking for Armored Core. I'm looking for, Jak and Daxter PS2. But Sheehy kept quickly going through games, and I thought she had like a list maybe she had on her phone. The strange thing was, though, she started with PS2, and the first thing that she mentioned was Hunting Ground. The second one she mentioned was Kuon, I think. The third one was, what was it? A Silent Hill 3. And then I stop writing for a second, and then I smile. And then what happens is I start just kind of scribbling, making it seem like I'm writing. Because this moment I think, okay, this is some games I can't ever get. But I continue like nodding, thinking, okay, well, I'll try. And when I say I'll try, I mean like I might do a search on eBay to see if there's any of these I can get. And I'll let this person know it's going to be this much money for me to acquire all these games. But no, I wasn't going to acquire these, but I'm just nodding my head, smiling. Okay, all right. So this. And then we go into the Xbox 360. It's, I think, what's that anime game that's hard to find? Mostly it's QuickTime Events. I forget what it is. And then it's It's even some obscure things I've never fucking heard of, man. I mean, I know about Haunting Ground and Kuon, but bringing up some games that like I've never even heard of, which I'm thinking they must be some rare games because I've never seen them or heard of them. And it goes all the way through GameCube, and it's like all these platforms. And then I make still like I'm scribbling, but then I'm like, hey, that's a lot of hard games to find. I don't think I'm ever going to be able to really find those for you. And then after this, the big reveal. The big reveal is this. He says, yeah, I'm looking to get into game flipping. And I could have flipped out right there going like, oh, really? So now I understand the whole reason from the text the night before to, the visit there, the whole reason was not because he was looking for comics to buy, to read, games to buy, to play. The whole reason, flipped up, like I said, 180 from before, previously, the whole reason was they wanted to come and get stuff from me and flip it and make money. And believe me, that's no problem with that whatsoever. If you want to buy something from somebody that you think you can get more for, hey, that's the free market. No problem whatsoever. But it's such a big departure from the past, and the fact that it's clearly so blatant, as if I am going to go and find these games, acquire these, and then sell to this person, I guess, at a cheap price, so they can flip them. It's like, I was like, what do you think I'm doing here? I have a flipping business. As most businesses where you sell things, you're trying to flip something that you get from somewhere else for lower, and then that's business. People call it flipping, but it's business. It's taking items that you get somewhere, and that's a lot of business, not just video games. It's a lot of times people might get some swords, some knives, some, ancient vases or some shit, antiques, right? Antiquing. But the weird thing is, there's a negative connotation to doing it with video games, because people say like, you dirty bastard flipper, you. But antiques, like no one ever walks by an antique place going like, you son of a bitch. But it's business is what it is. And like I said, people can do whatever they want to do, right? But if this person expects me to go searching and hunting for the haunting ground so I can sell it to them for a price lower than what I can sell and get it for, then I don't know the thought process there. And maybe they said they're just starting to get into flipping. So maybe they don't understand that it's a bit rude to go to a place that's selling things and to have them make a list and get things for you. How much is haunting ground now? How many hundreds would you pay to get a haunting ground? What probably happened was, and this person maybe just that day just decided, hey, maybe I should do some game flipping. They did a search. I'm sorry I didn't mention this. This is what I was really wanting to mention is. They did a search is what they were doing. They didn't have a list they even written down on their phone. Here's how I know. It's one thing if you have an actual list and you put it in your phone that you've written and you took a picture of it. But I did the same search for rare PS2 games, rare Xbox 360 games, and exactly the same fucking things that he was saying was exactly what came up. And I checked my paper when I started writing before I was scribbling. It's exactly the same stuff. So the final part of the story is, I'm pleasant to them. I say like, hey, well, it's nice seeing you again. I hate bad things are happening in your life and everything, but you stay strong. Still, if I didn't mention, just terrible that the mother passed away a couple months prior. I hate that for them. So I said, hope things get better for you. But honestly, I was hoping that they never come back and ever, because it's different now. You see, they're really no longer pure customers, like they're flippers. And I might have a separate commentary talking about the distinction between the two. But I don't have the time. I don't want to work that in here, but it's not the same thing. As someone that does what I do, you want pure customers that buy things because they want them, or they're getting it for a gift for a friend, or It's nostalgia that causes them to get something. That's what you're looking for if you want to be successful in the business that I am, running a store like I do. They go to the, Sheehy goes to the right to catch up with Sheehy's wife. And then a couple minutes later, Sheehy's coming from the left. And I go, oh, you made like a weird perfect circle or something. Like, okay, here you are again. And here's the part where I was a little bit blindsided. And this is the favor. This is the favor. And this is honestly, the feeling that I give this deal is because they had it rough. And because the mother passed away. You know, believe it or not, even though I'm a businessman, I have a heart. I do. So I feel for people sometimes. And in the past, they have bought a lot of stuff from me. They had more money, I guess, in the past when mother was alive. You know, I can't remember if they were actually there with the mother. That's why it kind of hit me. Like I was trying to remember like what the mother looked like if they was there with the mother, and thinking like, dang, this person's no longer here on earth. That's a bummer. So, you know, I've lost people. We all have, so I felt bad for them. So I gave them the deal on BioShock 360. He says, even though I wouldn't ask when they were there, he says that the wife wanted BioShock, which was strange that the wife would want BioShock because I don't remember her looking at the games that much. So, okay, I don't know. I had one copy of BioShock 360. And then literally he opens up his wallet, and there's 5 ones. So like all that cash that they had on them was 5 ones. So I wound up selling the BioShock, which, I mean, I'm not losing money because I didn't, you know, it's not like I paid more than 5 for that. So I was the big favor. And I said, hey, this is your welcome back favor. This is the welcome back deal I'll give you. After that, though, there's no more deals. That's the welcome back deal. I didn't say what it was, which was like, you've had a shitty past year deal, and you know your mother passed away, which was, you know, it's only $10 I figured difference, and it was kind of a slow sales day, so I was like, okay, whatever. Later on, things got a little better sales wise, but I'm really hoping they don't come back. I really am. I'm really hoping they don't. I wish Sheehy well on the flipping journey that they're on. And again, in the future, I'll go into a probably deep commentary talking about the difference between a flipper customer and a regular pure customer. But, you know, if you've done this, if you've been in this business, if you have sold before at the flea market, you know what I'm talking about, what kind of customers you want and what kind of customers you don't want around there.